All right, we're counting down by the hours until the polls open tomorrow, and national polling still shows former President Trump and Vice President Harris in a dead heat. Trump leads in the Real Clear Politics average, and get this, by 1/10 of 1 percentage point. Okay, I don't even know how they measure that. Anyway, that same survey finds a whopping 74% of voters say they feel the country is headed in the wrong track. Well, that includes half of VP Kamala Harris's supporters, and nearly all of those who back Trump. So half of the people who say they support her know that she was there for the last 4 years, and they think we're going in the wrong direction. Why are they voting for her? One voter with his take on the track of the country right now.
The main issue was just the fear of people voting in a direction that's going to take our economy in the wrong direction. My biggest priority is my family. I have 3 children, and if our economy doesn't change, it's going to be a hard candy Christmas this year.
Ari Fleischer, former White House press secretary and Fox News contributor, and Focus with me now. Look, everybody's been saying how tight this is going to be. We just saw Donald Trump give a speech. We'll see Kamala Harris a little bit later today. What matters now from both of these people that you're hearing or that you're not hearing?
Well, what matters is they don't make any big mistakes between now and tomorrow. I mean, that really is it. When you're dealing with the undecideds, who are the few people left in America who have not made up their mind, don't say anything that scares them. That, to me, is the biggest thing that candidates can control in the next 12 hours, Harris.
Well, we are seeing some last-ditch efforts. So as part of the closing argument from the former president moments ago, it was all about the border, which is his sort of leadership brand. I mean, we didn't have the problems that we have now and have had for nearly 4 years under him when he was president. So he's there. This is an interesting place for Kamala Harris to go last minute. And now NBC News is scrambling to right a wrong. The network allowed Trump last night to air a free 90-second advertisement during Sunday Night Football, the NFL, and a NASCAR event in order to try to comply with the FCC's equal time regulation. They violated that regulation. Here's part of it.
Just remember, Kamala and her friends broke it. I'll fix it. Most important election in the history of our country. Go and vote.
Yeah, a lot of people saw that ad, and he got it for free because of this. The network, NBC, invited Vice President Kamala Harris for an SNL cameo over the weekend, an invite that was not extended to the other presidential candidate, Donald Trump. FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr says this.
NBC knew what they were doing. They appear to have tried to jam the opposing candidates, and they thought they could get away with it. And as you noted, they've apparently tried to give out some last-minute airtime here, but only after a real ruckus was made, and they were called out for this.
So, Ari, what is your well, first of all, what was your reaction to how quickly this was dealt with and how serious it was?
Well, a couple things. For people who discount how Republicans say all these institutions, particularly Hollywood, the media, are stacked against Republicans, this is last-second proof perfect that Republicans are right. NBC did this trying to jam it in at the last second. So these Republican charges of bias are always accurate for the media. But look, Saturday Night Live is an overwhelmingly Democratic audience. It is young. It is not typically a Trump voter. And so they did what they did. The worst thing in the world would be for Donald Trump to try to, do something on Saturday Night Live. But I'm glad to see the makeup. But it ticks me off to see this behavior take place. And what I would really like to see is the Manhattan prosecutor say it was an illegal campaign contribution to Kamala Harris and go after Kamala Harris the way he went after Donald Trump.
Well, I will tell you one small fact. Jill Stein, if she wanted to, she's on the ballot in many places. Jill Stein has the opening now, as well as Donald Trump, to get a putback from NBC, some free advertisement. I don't know about RFK Jr. because I don't know if he's on enough ballots at this point, but that's fascinating. That would hurt Kamala Harris if that happened. RFK, different situation from Jill Stein, if people can now suddenly see her put out ads for free against Kamala Harris. Well, I do want to get to this. Nikki Haley says former President Donald Trump's team has not asked her to campaign with him, but she's still making her voice heard. Haley was the last major Trump rival to quit the 2024 Republican primary. Here's part of her opinion piece. She writes, "This election isn't a referendum on Trump. It's a choice between him and Kamala Harris. A Trump administration would be different. It wouldn't be perfect, but I agree with Trump that we need to keep taxes low and cut them more. I agree that we need to expand American energy to empower our families and job creators while making us less dependent on foreign energy. I agree that America should be strong, far stronger than we are today." And I don't want to leave the impression that they don't talk, because that would not be true. She's told me that herself. But we haven't seen them yet on the stump together. We still have more than 24 hours.
Well, you know, everything traditional says that you accept these endorsements, you play up these endorsements, you go out there and you make a big thing out of it. Donald Trump's different. Donald Trump has never done it that way. It's why Donald Trump wins people who could care less about politics and they show up for Donald Trump, because he's not a typical politician. I think he doesn't like her very much. So it's hard for him to say, I'm going to get on a stage and share a stage with her and act like we're chums, because that's just not who Trump is. So good for Nikki for rising above and saying what she said. And it's important, too, Harris, in the sense that not because Nikki's a woman and women will listen to a woman, but women were 53% of the electorate when Joe Biden defeated Donald Trump in 2020. If Donald Trump does his job right and gets men to turn out in bigger numbers, men were 47%. Can men be 48% of this electorate because he's bringing out more men? Women have less of a reason to support Harris. To me, the only way Harris wins, and right now everything looks good for Trump, the only way Harris wins is if women turn out in huge numbers, 53% of the electorate, like 20 or 54%.
Well, with Nikki Haley helping out, with other women also helping out, those were the first names I thought of when Mark Cuban went after the women around Donald Trump. There are a lot of strong women who support him, even though they may not agree with him.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.